I swear I would never come back to Dead Man's Butte. But here I am. Friday, July 29th. Hottest day of the year so far, and no rain for the last 35 days, at least in this part of Nevada, especially on the outskirts of the Mojave Desert, which is where I am driving. I turned off of Highway 93 and into the old mining town about an hour north of Las Vegas. Days of driving had stained my dark blue Honda Civic, coating its windows in dust. I'd been on the road since Strader, Illinois, my home for the last 2 years. One of my army buddies had started an urban chic clothing store, the Velvet District, with selections for men and women. I had become a silent partner. It's done so well, we're thinking of expanding. My dog tag still hung around my neck, hidden under my practical short-sleeve button-down next to my cross. I chose khaki shorts, thanks to the Nevada heat, and even though the air conditioning was turned up all the way, it couldn't keep up. The car stank of stale Doritos and last night's Kung Pao chicken, and probably me. I hadn't showered since Illinois, sleeping in my car to save money. Rolling the windows down helped, but that also let the heat in. My phone rang. My ringtone was So Far Away by Martin Garrix. It had been our song, once. The melody filled the car, familiar, aching. My fingers hovered over the screen. I should have changed the tune years ago, but I couldn't. It was Camilla, Grandpa's attorney. I'm on my way. You? Be there by 7. And I hung up. I promised myself I'd never come back to Dead Man's Butte, never come back to the people who ridiculed me and cast me to the curb like garbage. I'd never come back to my old boyfriend, Maddox, Mad, who took their money and dumped me. What was our old joke? He was mad about me. That was a lie. Dad's gloating smirk as he informed me. I gave Maddox 10 grand to never contact you again. He took the money and said adios as he left for Oregon. Guess he never loved you. Dad chewed on the end of his cigar before snickering, and then added the last words he ever spoke to me. After what you did, we don't love you either. Get out of town. You're dead to us. Mad never picked up my calls, no matter what number I tried. He ghosted me. There was nothing left to stay for, so I left Nevada the next day. I should never have come back to the small town that represented a part of my life I'd rather forget. When I left, I never looked back. New phone, new city, new job, new name, legally changed. I'm not Jude Cassius Gavinson anymore. I now went by my middle name. That was also my grandpa's name, Cassius, or simply Cass. Just Cass York. I chose York because I liked the sound of Cassius York. It's smooth on the tongue. Besides, Grandpa said his years in New York were the happiest of his life. That's where he met Grandma, and he'd gotten hold of a 1977 Silver Jubilee Crown proof. He liked to collect old coins, especially silver ones, God rest his soul. Grandma, too, for putting up with the old man as long as she did. She died a year ago, cremated, like Grandpa. She didn't want a service. Promises didn't survive the light of day. I'd been named in Grandpa's will as an inheritor, and the lawyer had specifically invited me to come. I guess Grandpa was finally keeping his promise. His old coins were mine now. I'd prayed I'd be in and out before I ran into Mad. I loved him. I was afraid of him. I hated him. All at the same time. How was that even possible? But I did. The Java Dive was still open. I stopped by for an extra large dose of raspberry-flavored mocha before I headed to my parents' place. The old coffee hangout hadn't changed. Same scratched-up counter, same faded chalkboard menu. Jared, owner, barista, and keeper of old memories, remembered me. "Been a while, friend," he said, polishing the counter with a rag. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Maybe the town had missed me. Maybe Dead Man's Butte remembered their wayward son. I needed a whiskey, but I'd given that up 2 years ago. The price of becoming someone new. My life is filled with long stories. The reading of the will was tonight, July 29th, 6:59 p.m. Temperature still at 104 Fahrenheit. Nevada hadn't changed. I had. I'd had a few happy times at the family house on Sawyer Street, an old brownstone bungalow with black shingles and a chimney we'd never used, the illustrious Gavinson residence, Grandpa's old house, until I came out. My brother Jace made sure my life was hell after that. You'd think I planned my arrival not to spend any time with my family. Bingo. I did. Half a dozen cars were out front. One I recognized as my parents'. Another was my younger brother's, Jace. I told myself I wasn't afraid of seeing him, but my hands clenched the wheel anyway. The other 4 cars I didn't recognize. My aunt, my uncle, and my cousins, probably. I pulled up making sure I had an easy getaway, climbed out of my car, and beeped it. I swallowed, the heat pressing against me like a weighted blanket, the scent of garlic and lasagna mixed with dust and car exhaust. Home, but not my home. The house across the street played loud mariachi music, and a couple of kids ran out front, squirting each other with water pistols. A man yelled at them in Spanish. He saw me and waved. "Mi hijo, long time. Sorry to hear about your abuelito. Era un buen hombre." "Thanks, Mr. Padillo," I said. Grandpa Cass always liked Marisol's chili rellenos the best. I called him every week, and he said the food in the care facility was cardboard, except when you visited him. Then he actually ate well. Mr. Padillo smiled. "How about you? You good?" "I'm surviving," I said. "Your kids have grown up?" Juan and Pedro shovel their mama's cooking like puerquitos, except with hands, of course. "But they're just as messy," he said. "How long you in town?" I walked over to him, savoring the scent of Marisol's home-cooked enchilada sauce and slow-cooked shredded beef. "Just a day or 2. Things didn't end well last time." Mr. Padillo stepped closer, nodding like he understood more than I said. "If you need a place to stay the night, we got room. Marisol always cooks enough for an army. She's making chimichangas for dinner, and she'll make sure you leave on a full stomach. Get you a beer to chill with." Before I could stop myself, I gave the automatic response, "I don't drink anymore." He chuckled. "That will make Marisol happy. She is trying to get me to stop. Says it's too expensive. We'll make margaritas, kid style." Another car pulled up. A 2-year-old black BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe. Mr. Padillo straightened his shirt like he was about to meet a judge. I hadn't even seen the driver yet, but his reaction told me everything. A woman climbed out. A tailored, charcoal gray suit with matching heels and briefcase. She must be the lawyer who had hired the PI that finally found me. Camilla Vargas. I'd only spoken to her on the phone. She lowered her Ray-Ban sunglasses, put them in a pocket, and walked over to us, her heels clacking on the asphalt. "You look like your picture, Mr. York. It's a pleasure to meet you in person." Hearing that name made me smile. Even though I changed it 2 years ago, I'm glad I did. "York?" Mr. Padillo asked, his eyebrows raising. I pointed at my parents' house with my thumb. "There's no way I want to be related to them, not after what happened," I replied, as Camilla and I walked to the front door of the house I swore never to return to. Camilla took point. "Yeah, I did a stint in the Army. Kuwait. My MOS, 91B, wheeled vehicle maintenance. I've been out for nearly 5 years, but the habits I learned back then are still with me. Helped pay for my business degree. And yeah, I'm a reservist now. I told myself that visiting my parents was a simple recon. So why did the juices in my stomach curdle? Mom answered the door, all smiles when she saw Camilla. She didn't notice me until after the lawyer stepped inside. Her eyes widened, then her mouth tightened into a frown. A beat later, her gaze narrowed. I didn't expect you. Mom had cut her hair short and stylish, wore subtler makeup, flaunted a white and yellow sundress with yellow heels. Her toned arms hinted at daily gym sessions. The threshold loomed in front of me, more than just a doorway, more like a portal to everything I swore I'd never face again. My stomach churned, my pulse steadied. I followed Camilla in. Knickknacks and kitsch cluttered every surface, arranged with artistic precision, but never breaking the rule of 357, as if Mom visited Cracker Barrel daily. The coffee table held a porcelain elephant, a large book about the Canary Islands, and a small woven bowl. The mantel showcased 2 tapered candles, 2 statues from the Renaissance, and 1 small plastic plant meticulously wiped clean. The air carried the scent of melted cheese and marinara, laced with the pungent bite of Dad's cigars. I don't miss the cigar stench. It had been 2 years since I'd last spoken to my family. We had parted on ugly terms. Very ugly. I couldn't wait to leave. I was invited for the reading of the will, I said, keeping my emotions in check. My drill sergeant would have approved. I didn't come to fight. And it looks good in here, Mom. You haven't lost your touch. Mom nodded, stepping aside to let me in. She looked me up and down, a prize fighter gauging their opponent. You're looking skinny. Finally watching your diet, or just forgetting to eat? We hadn't seen each other for 2 years, and this is what she says? My gut tensed like it had every time Sarge had ordered a combat drill. I didn't respond. Camilla glanced at me, frowning, but said nothing. Mom led us into the dining room. The large table housed her and my dad, my brother Jace and his girlfriend, my aunt and uncle, my 3 cousins. 2 large casserole dishes were on the table, containing portions of the remaining lasagna. There weren't any breadsticks left. I go by Cass now, I said, locking my eyes with hers. She'd thrown down the gauntlet the moment I entered. This would be a long night. Cassius York, came my dad's voice from the other room. You shouldn't have come home, boy, because you aren't welcome here and never will be. Most homecomings are a bit friendlier. Mind explaining why this one isn't? Camilla asked, setting her briefcase on the table and opening it. Jace grinned. Not a friendly grin, but a shark about to strike. Didn't the private investigator tell you? Cassius is gay. Embarrassed the family by his antics in the Vegas Pride Parade, wearing only a G-string, waving a stupid rainbow flag, body painted everywhere with rainbows and lips. You humiliated the family, my aunt said. Did you see the video where he was gyrating on top of a float with that other man? Shameless. If Jude had been my son, I'd have whipped him blue. I thought the army was supposed to make a man out of him, and what do we get? Dad yelled. He's making a damn spectacle of himself. The neighbors made fun of us for weeks. I didn't dare show myself at the bar for ages. Or church, Mom squealed. The Reverend barely looked at us, like we failed as parents and our friends. The whispers we heard. Dad's face reddened, eyes burning with fury. I didn't raise no damn kid to dance in public, naked. Then you made out with some guy. That god-awful scene was plastered across national news. Our family disgrace looping on YouTube, and we were flagged on Facebook. Our friends saw it. It never ended. I kept my anger chained inside, automatically shifting to the balls of my feet, ready to block, defend, or strike. My training taking over. Dad would never understand, and never even tried. What happened to the man who I threw football with? That ball was lost in the garage. I bet it's still there, waiting, alone, forgotten by the family who once loved it. I kept quiet. My family would never understand, but Grandpa did. All those half-naked men, your grandma, God keep her soul, she would have been right there in the thick of it, dancing with every last one. For a second, I almost smiled. Crazy old coot. I'd miss him. Grandpa had understood. My family didn't. A fork clattered, and just like that, I was back in the present. I faced the table. "Would you stop it?" I ordered. "I'm here for the reading of the will, and then I'm gone. You'll never see me again." "As if Grandpa would leave you anything," Jace said. I didn't even flinch. Jace wanted a reaction? He wouldn't get one. Mom prepared a plate for Camilla, placing a large slice of lasagna on it and a serving of green beans. She placed it in front of Camilla. Mom didn't make one for me. It stung. I kept a neutral expression on my face, but my gut tightened like I was in a combat drill. Love was supposed to be unconditional. In this family, it came with fine print. They'd never understand. They never tried, and I was done trying to make them. Grandpa didn't have much, Mom said, taking a seat. He lived in a retirement community, covered mostly by his veteran benefits and Medicare for medical expenses. Dad let out a burp and then sneered. No car either. He was a pauper with nice clothes and 3 meals a day. I don't know why the beggar needed a lawyer. The anger simmered, restrained, but still there, deep inside. "You are living in his house," I muttered, leeches clinging to the last thing he left behind, bleeding him dry even in death. "A house which you will never be welcome in." Dad rose to his feet, pointing at the door. "Get out." I looked at Camilla, my snarky smile hiding the humiliation I felt being around these people. "Now you know why I moved halfway across the country. I'm heading back to Illinois and never looking back. Lose my number." Camilla sucked in her cheeks a little and pushed the plate away, untouched. "I'd better read this. I, Cassius Bartholomew Gavinson, residing in Dead Man's Butte, Nevada, being of sound mind and disposing memory, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament. And," Mom yelled, "to my 2 children, I leave the sum of $2,000 each." "What?" Dad barked. "That's it?" "What about the house?" Mom yelled. "There must be some mistake," my aunt whispered. "I told you that the old guy was broke, but did you believe me?" Jace snarked. "To each of my grandchildren, with the exception of Cassius, I leave a sum of $1,000 to be placed in trust to accrue interest until they reach the age of 20. Then they may take it and any interest and use it as they see fit." Jace faced me, chuckling. "Even Grandpa kicked you out of the family." "I also leave a trust for Juan and Pedro Padillo of $2,000 each, to accrue interest. They may claim it when they turn 20. I leave their parents a sum of $5,000, so they can finally take their children to Disney World." Mom slapped the table. "That's not fair. We barely speak to them." "To Cassius York, the grandchild that always understood me, when everyone else left me to rot in the damn nursing home, I leave my complete coin collection." My brother snickered at that and muttered, "What is it? A bunch of old pennies? Worthless." Camilla continued reading, including 2 1995 W proof Silver Eagles in mint condition, an 1889 C.C. Morgan dollar, and an 1893 S Morgan dollar, a complete piece dollar collection, a complete silver eagle collection, including proofs, and various silver coin specialties dating back to the 1920s, from England, Canada, Mexico, even France and Italy. To my family, Camilla might as well have been speaking Russian. Jace chimed in. Who cares about a bunch of old tin? Who'd want it anyway? I would, I said quietly. It was his life. It's something to remember him, even if it isn't worth that much. Dad let out a long, raw burp. He snorted, shaking his head slightly. My aunt glared at the liar as if she wanted to challenge the will right away. With a calm, even tone, Camilla continued. Even the coin I was most proud of, an impossibly rare 1977 Silver Jubilee Crown proof, still in its original presentation box. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle before adding, It's nearly 1,000 rare and collectible coins. Camilla set the paper down and looked at me. I've had the collection appraised by an antiquities dealer who specializes in coins, and he indicated that if you are willing to sell, he offers $105,000. I hadn't thought about the money, only Grandpa, only the history. But $105,000? That made it real. Dad's jaw slammed shut. Mom pursed her lips. Jace glared at me. Well, good luck finding some sucker to pay that much. I met Jace's gaze, matching his mockery with silence. You never mentioned the house, my aunt said, sitting a little taller. The lasagna forgotten. Without looking up, Camilla returned to the page and read the final paragraph. As to my house and all other property, I bequeath it to my grandson, Cassius York. I understand his residence is in Illinois. I give my permission to sell all property, and he will inherit the proceeds. My knees locked up like I was standing at attention. Had I heard that right? Had I really just inherited a fortune? Mom looked at me. Sell our house? Camilla looked right at Mom. It looks that way. Mom's eyes widened. Her mouth opened a little. We'll lose our home. My dad looked like he was chewing a nail. Mom screamed, hitting the table. The dinnerware clattered. Grandpa must have been having a dementia attack. My aunt paled, looking like she'd swallowed a whole potato. The Hollis house just sold for $500,000. Don't think for a second this is over. If you don't give us the house, I'll make sure you regret this, Dad growled. This time he looked at me. Your grounds for contesting the will are insignificant, Camilla said. He made sure you were all included in the will, and his doctor attested to his mental acuity. I shoved my hands in my pockets and looked at my family. Really looked. It was all about the money. They didn't care that a good man had died, or that they had shut him out in his last days. Was this karma, or the revenge of a bitter man on the family that left him to die? I knew better. This was Grandpa's way of saying thank you for all the long-distance conversations we had. Crazy old coot. I'd miss him. Camilla filed the papers in her briefcase and snapped it shut. The click sounded like a bomb. His final wishes are clear. Since Cassius has built a life in Illinois, and the proceeds transferred to him, you have 30 days, as required by law, to vacate the premises. I have contacted a realtor to make an assessment of the property. They will visit tomorrow at 10. My parents didn't respond. Even my aunt was quiet. Camilla turned to me. I need to leave Cassius. Walk with me. Mom found a clean plate and piled it high with lasagna and green beans, her hand shaking. She slid the plate to me. "Cassius, honey, we need to talk," she said sweetly. "I've made mint chocolate cake for dessert. Why don't you stay and let's reconnect?" Jace swore under his breath. "Mom, what are you doing?" I held my gaze on Dad. "You've already told me I'm not welcome here, so why stay for dinner?" I followed Camilla out of the house. We spoke about logistics, and she asked if I'd be willing to stay a few days to take care of some paperwork. We agreed to meet on Monday. As I was climbing into my car, Mr. Padillo waved at me and yelled, "Wait, mi hijo." He carried a sack in his other hand. Pedro, I think, followed close behind. The sack smelled of something spicy, Marisol's fresh chimichangas. I climbed back out, glancing at my parents' place. No sign of life. I guess it's mine now. "About 6-8 months ago, Mad came by hoping we'd heard from you," Mr. Padillo offered, pulling a squished cell phone from the sack. "We hadn't, but Pedro found this right after he left." "It was in that old alley, the one where everyone dumps their old furniture," Pedro said. "It was under this old sofa, and I thought I could play games on it, but it's junk now. It must have been there a long time because it was really dirty." A 3-year-old smartphone with a blue case, all cracked and distorted as if someone had backed a car over it, again and again. Part of the back gaped open, revealing a smashed hole where the battery would have been. A torn sticker on the back read, "Mad in Love." A private joke between the two of us. This was Mad's phone. If it worked, I'd know the unlock code, every app's place, and could press 1, his speed dial for my old number. "He said that if you ever came by this part, to tell you he loves you, wished you'd called him." I checked the side of the phone. The tiny SIM card tray was broken off. No SIM card. Impossible to open without a paperclip. I'd never seen one crushed like this. Someone had deliberately neutered this phone. As I drove away, Mr. Padillo stood at the side of the road talking into his cell phone. Pedro found an old football, tossed it, and his dad caught it one-handed. Effortless, familiar, natural, like he'd done it 100 times before. That night, I went to an old hangout, Railroad Junction Park. It has a dog walk trail around the park, just over a mile if you take the whole trail. I'd come here often just to clear my head, or watch the sunset, or spend quality time with my old boyfriend. The sun had set, leaving the sky in darkened golds and reds, the bright flicker of Mercury close to the horizon, my favorite time of day. My soul eased for the first time that day. I hadn't had a serious relationship since my parents paid Maddox to dump me. What's the point of love if you can't trust the man you love to stick around? It took me a long time to understand why my parents had done it. Mad tied me to Dead Man's Butte. By breaking that relationship, the family embarrassment would leave. I found a bench, pulled out a shredded beef chimichanga, poured on a ton of smoky amber sauce, and dove in. A couple of kids threw a baseball back and forth. 2 hang gliders drifted high in the air above. Speakers played a song, "So Far Away," by Martin Garrix, while a couple sat on a blanket, drinking wine. My ringtone, which I had never changed. It had been our song, the song playing in the background on our first date, the song we had memorized together, the song that played in the background on our first night together. My chest ached. Mad's betrayal hurt more than words. This had been our park, our bench. I had declared my love for him on this exact spot. We shared our first kiss here, and often talked for hours. Then he accepted my parents' money. Our dreams of forever didn't last very long. Mom and Dad's strategy worked. I left Nevada and never looked back. Then it happened. A man and a woman entered the park from the far side. The woman fussing over the way her clothes didn't fit. She was pregnant, at least 7 or 8 months pregnant. The man held her arm as they slowly walked about the dog path. That walk, the way he moved, I knew it. Could it really be? Nevada was built on impossible odds. I didn't move, simply stayed on the bench, a shadow lost among shadows. They spoke of groceries. They needed formula for Sandy, and diapers, and more protein powder for her. He mentioned filling the car up tonight. She spoke about arranging things with child care. He spoke how his work was excited and had planned a shower. I remembered that voice, Mad's voice, whispering sweet nothings in the middle of the night, or suddenly shouting as we played frisbee with friends, or the casual way he joked about politics. She spoke about how the doctor said her due date was in 3 weeks, and she didn't feel ready to face the music. Her principal had contacted her, arranging time and date for when she would return to work. She had missed 2 months already, and would miss more once she gave birth. It was Maddox, my ex. My heart lurched. I wanted to run to him even after what he did 2 years ago. Feel his arms about me, feel his lips on mine. Did I still love him? What would I say to him if I had the courage? Scream about betrayal? Beg for his love? Mad and the woman laughed. Was that his wife? Was he married? Did they only live together? They were talking about marinara sauce and gluten-free lasagna noodles and layers of spinach and how many mushrooms they would need. He spoke about ricotta cheese. Then she mentioned that cottage cheese would be cheaper and nobody would notice the difference. He asked how many people she expected, and she replied 25. Today must be National Lasagna Day. I can't get away from it. Mad said something about, he's not here, and this is stupid. She asked where else would he go. Mad shrugged and said definitely not his parents. The conversation went quiet. She restarted it by talking about Sandy's, the unborn baby, routine, about timelines for starting solid food, about which brands of formula her mom said were the best. Mad mumbled responses, feigning attention, but his eyes scanned the park as if looking for someone. They drew even with me, never noticing that a person sat on the bench in the shadows. I slunk down, making sure the darkness covered me. Whoever Mad looked for, I prayed it wasn't me. The couple lounging on the blanket packed up their gear and left, leaving me alone with Mad and his wife. He had moved on with his life, as had I. See him again made me happy. The regret tugged at my soul. Should I call out? I hadn't realized how much I missed Mad until I saw him. It took a steel-clad will not to call out, to be one with the shadows, to remain silent. He had betrayed me, but I still loved him. Love was supposed to be stronger than betrayal. But here I was, frozen between the two, still waiting for the scales to tip, longing for the future, but trapped in dreams of what never will be. They walked past, their backs to me. I was safe from discovery. I sighed with relief. My chance was lost, a regret I would carry with me for the rest of my life. He would never know I was here. Melancholy surged through me like a flash flood. I remembered the way we both screamed at the cheesy movie, The Lesbian Vampires of Las Vegas. The way he tickled me when I wouldn't give him the last piece of Christmas fudge. The first time we made out in my dark blue Honda Civic, a police officer had knocked on our steamed windows and told us to take it to a hotel. 2 months later, He took the money from my dad and left me. Mad had walked by, never knowing how close I was. It's better he never know. He had a family now. I wouldn't ruin that. The last thing he needed was an old lover crawling back. Did she even know about me? Why had I come back from Illinois? My phone rang. The ringtone singing the lyrics to So Far Away by Martin Garrix. Our song. I checked the caller ID, already dreading who it was. How long had it been since Mom had called me? 2 years? I answered, "Yeah, Mom." Though faint, the sound carried to Maddox and his wife. He stopped, his mouth slightly open. He glanced about, searching for a ghost he couldn't name. "Did you hear that?" he murmured, his sudden inhale loud even where I sat. Mom droned on about giving me a proper homecoming, about a proper dinner, about how glad the family was to see me, how they were just tired from working all day. I didn't pay attention. Mad must have remembered the damn ringtone. Why had I never changed it? Did I still have feelings for him? Even now, the ache in my heart pounded fast and loud. He had said that song reminded him of me, of my blue eyes. He always loved my eyes. Did he remember me? "It must be someone's phone," the woman suggested, "but I don't see anyone." Tears flooded my eyes. My vision blurred. I wanted to call out. I needed to call out. I had to call out. But the memories, the emotions, blocked any rational thought. Mad turned around, looking about, and when his eyes faced my direction, he stiffened. "Do you see that? The glow on the bench, like someone talking into..." His voice faded. His hand ruffled through his hair, and he took a small step in my direction. Oh my God. Mad's voice broke. His head slightly shook from left to right, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. His lips pressed into a tight line, holding back an intensity I'd never seen before. I should run, stick to the shadows, find my car, scramble back to Illinois. Mad took another step, hesitating mid-stride. His breath hitched. He was staring right at me now. No more shadows, no more hiding. I couldn't stop myself. I ran fast, my legs pumping harder than even in Kuwait. I ran so hard that I couldn't breathe, tears flying from my eyes. My breath came in gaps, the emotion strong, fierce, unstoppable. I ran like every devil in hell was clawing at my heels. I couldn't stop, I couldn't think. The world had narrowed to this moment. Stopping was no longer an option. I fled straight into his arms. His arms tightened around me. My breath hitched. His warmth was familiar, but different. A memory turned real. "Why? Why did you leave me?" His whisper choked, his face wet, his citrus cologne the same as I remembered. His embrace was like coming home. I hugged him, tight, emotions detonating inside me. "I forgive you." Mad's breath trembled against my shoulder, his grip about me solid, as if afraid to let go of a dream. I held him tighter, tight enough to press muscle into bone. This wasn't closure. This was something bigger, something deeper. Mad's breath came in ragged gasps as he tried to catch his breath. His heart beat rapid under my touch, matching the insane rhythm of my own. He pulled back, his eyelashes matted with tears. "Don't ever leave me again. It's been hell. Why did you run? We loved each other, didn't we?" The bitterness broke out. My voice talked over his. "Why did you let Dad pay you to leave me? He told me about the $10,000. It broke me. I tried to call, tried to talk to you, came to your house, but you weren't around. I had no choice but to leave. Dead man's Butte holds only pain. First my parents, and now this. It's been one nightmare after another since I came back here. I wish I'd stayed in Illinois." The tears, so long in check, fell from my eyes, burning tracks on my cheeks. 4 years in the Army, 4 years getting my business degree, 2 years in Illinois, And what do I get? Parents who can't stand me because I'm gay, and a boyfriend who betrays me for their money. Look at me. Tough army guy who can't keep his crap together. The barracks had smelled like any locker room. Sweat and dirty socks masked by a whiff of deodorant and laundry soap. Sarge inspected each bunk, bouncing a quarter off every one. If we so much as flinched, he'd order us to drop and give him 50. Any lip, it would be 100. Back then, I knew the rules. Now, I don't know a damn thing. Mad's grip tightened about me, desperate to keep me here. His lip quivered. He swallowed, suddenly silent. My shoulders twitched, my legs locked. Sarge would tell me what to do. The ragged breath startled me. It was mine. I murmured, "I still love you," even though I couldn't finish. The sobs tumbled out of me, uncontrolled. Was 10,000 worth it? Why did you betray me? Mad had gone ghastly pale, his eyes stricken, hollow. His wife softly said, "I think I'll keep walking. Meet you back here in 20 minutes. With a simple nod, he acknowledged her. My tears had dripped onto his shirt. 2 small, round drops. 1 for each year we had been apart. "I thought you loved me," I whispered. I never stopped. His gentle voice quivered. He lifted my chin. My eyes met his golden brown eyes. His next words shattered everything I believed. They never gave me $10,000 or any money. His eyes grim, his mouth grimmer. I knew his tells. His eyebrow always raised when he was lying or bluffing at poker. I knew every time he passed off a couple of 3s for kings, or when it was better for me to fold. Mad told the truth about the money. The 2x4 of truth slammed into my skull. My parents had never paid him. If they had never paid him, then Mad had never betrayed me? Chaos vanished, replaced by a silence so thick I could drown in it. The ground collapsed under me. My breath came rushed, forced. "Steady, love," Mad said. I don't remember sitting on the bench, or Mad sitting next to me, both of us hidden in the shadows. "Your folks told me you were waiting up on top of the Butte, and I should hurry," Mad said. I believed them. I drove up there and waited all night for you. Trouble is, my tank had a leak. I had just enough gas to get up there, but not enough to get back. I was stuck. Little convenient, right? Also, my phone was mysteriously gone. I thought it had fallen under the seat because the road was bumpy. I couldn't find it. Did you ever find your phone? No, Mad said, taking my hand in his. It took me more than 3 days to get back, and it was only because some hang gliders found me and took pity. They helped me get off the Butte, even brought back enough gas to get me back to civilization. By that time, you were gone. Your parents said they had accidentally driven over my old phone and bought me a new one. New number, new SIM card. My old life was gone. They said you left and didn't want to be disturbed. I wiped my cheeks, reached into the bag that held the chimichangas, and pulled out the squashed phone Mr. Padillo had given me. Its slight weighed heavy in my hands, the spiderweb of cracks in its screen fragmenting our reflections. Some stories have no happy ending, only closure. The weight of Christmas past crushed any chance I had at love. My eyes were dry, but my soul still wept. My parents had stolen a good man from me, had manipulated my life for their gain. They had erased me while they lived happily ever after. Had Grandpa seen through it all before he died? I switched topics before I drowned. How's married life treating you? Maddox actually smiled, snorting under his breath. Where did you get that idea? I'm not built to love women. I'm not turned on like that. The woman? The baby? After you, Mad said, the ache in his voice heavy with unshed emotion. After you left, I couldn't find anyone. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be alone. I had dreamed of raising a child with you. His voice went unexpectedly soft. Alexa is my surrogate. No, we never had sex. It was artificially done. It was my DNA. She needed the money and is signing away all parental rights when the baby is born. I take over then. The words sat heavy between us. We held hands, our fingers interlaced, tight, firm, refusing to let go. 2 years of our lives had been lost. For what? Because my parents didn't want me around. I stared at the lone, pregnant woman on the far side of the park, walking slowly. If life had been different, where would we be now? I wouldn't be in Illinois. A sharp pang messed with my heart. I looked to the sky to keep the tears from falling again. That is, our kid? She can be, if you'll come back to me, Mad said. Her name is Sandy. You'll be her other dad. Imagine me at parent-teacher conferences, I laughed. For the first time since coming back to Dead Man's Butte, my soul lightened. The sense of relief brought a wonder I had never felt before. I'm going to be a dad. A sharp inhale came from my phone. Mad and I looked down as one. The screen flickered to the still activated phone. A light blue screen with rows of single-digit numbers. The faint sound slightly echoed. A rustle came through the speaker, perhaps some fabric moving. Mom shushing somebody. Mom had put her phone on speaker mode, and everybody around her had heard our confession of love, had heard me agreeing to being a dad, had heard us describe the problems that they had instigated 2 years ago. My breath hitched. The world shrank. A slow, crawling cold crept up my spine. Mom had heard everything. I could almost smell Dad's cigars, see my aunt's prim little expression, my cousins scooping deeper into the last of the lasagna. Mad and I shared a look, a secret smile. Together we lifted my phone close, and we kissed. It wasn't one of those prissy first date kind of kisses, but one of lovers long separated. The heat of his lips, the thrill of his tongue, the rough scruff of his cheek. All I remembered, all I needed. We separated, our foreheads together, panting. Alexa was now in front of us, politely looking away. She'd been across the park moments ago. How long had we been lost in that kiss? The phone line was still open. Mad smiled at me and said, "Do you need a place to stay? I'll make dinner." I looked into the phone and loudly said, "Mom, Dad, nice of you to eavesdrop. Mad and I will be there at 11:30. With a bitter smile, Mad added, "It's too bad your folks will never meet their granddaughter." I closed the call and turned to Mad, cowering a little. I should have asked first, but would you come with me tomorrow? Let's talk about it over dinner, he whispered. Mad lived in an apartment only a few blocks from here. We walked Alexa back to her apartment. Then Mad led me to his place. A third-floor, 3-bedroom apartment with one room turned into a nursery. Simple, sparse, baby-friendly, ready to start his new life as a dad. My life too, if I wanted. We dined on zucchini noodles with creme fraiche marinara, garlic toast, and celebrated with Liquid Death's root beer wrath. We talked until midnight, connecting, catching up, just being with each other. After midnight, we connected in other, more romantic ways. Good thing it was a Saturday and we could sleep in. The morning of Saturday, July 30th, we drove to my parents' place, arriving exactly at 11:30. We'd talked since we woke, made plans, and come to a lot of decisions. I'd made a total of 6 phone calls, and the whirlwind was about to begin. We'd get back together, but slowly. Like it or not, my parents had stolen 2 years of our lives, something neither of us were willing to forgive or forget. I had made a life in Illinois. My grandpa's inheritance couldn't have arrived at a more needed time. The realtor was there waiting for us, as was the lawyer. My folks stood just outside the front door. Mom held her arms tight across her chest, Dad biting down on a cigar. And my brother Jace was nowhere in sight. Neither was my aunt, nor any of my cousins. My parents were alone. They watched as Matt and I climbed out of my dark blue Honda Civic. Their faces pale, stricken, as if waiting for what they knew what would come. Mom took Dad's hand. Her hair was a little less perfect than last night, and her blue polka dot dress with matching shoes propped up her fake cheerfulness. Dad wore the same clothes he had worn last night, bags under his eyes, his hand twitching. He pulled the cigar from his mouth, stared at it, and held it. His gaze met mine. His mouth narrowed. I met his glare head-on, refusing to flinch, matching the intensity of his glare with my own. As if on cue, Mr. Padillo, his 2 boys, and his wife Marisol walked out of their house, wearing Sunday best, he in a suit snug around his belly, holding his boys' hands, white shirts, black slacks. Pedro cradling the football. Marisol, with graying hair pulled into a bun, sported a modest pink dress and low-rise black pumps, her grandmother's pearl necklace resting on her collarbones. Marisol, smelling of fried onions and rice, gave a little shriek and ran to us, pulling us into a bone-tight hug, proudly saying, "Mis hijos son muy guapos." I glanced at my dad, remembering his words from last night. "You're not part of the family." My hand squeezed Mad's. He lightly whispered, "Time for revenge." We walked toward my parents. "This is our home," my mom began. "One you kicked me out of," I replied. "You embarrassed us," Dad spat. His words hit like gravel, thick with spite. The cigar went back into his mouth. "We are your family. You can't kick out your own parents." Mom stepped in. "We're prepared to make an offer for the house. $550,000. It's our home. Surely you can't be that heartless as to deny your parents the home they've lived in for 20 years. I ignored that. "You have one chance." I watched their expressions shift to confusion as I pulled out Mad's destroyed phone. Its shattered screen caught fractured reflections of us, splintered, battered, but unbroken, just like us. "Where is it?" Mad asked. Mom flashed an innocent smile. "I don't follow. Where's what?" I matched her smile, unwavering, and repeated, "This is your only chance. Bring us the SIM card. It not only had phone numbers on it, but all our pictures." Mad's hand gripped mine tighter, a record of all we had done, meant to each other, our love. Where is it? Dad's gaze flickered down. He was about to lie. "I don't know what you're talking about." That was your chance, I said. Mom's hands twisted together before she burst out, "We threw it out, okay?" "Shut up," Dad snarled. Matt looked at me, something melancholic in his eyes. He nodded. I whispered, "Then we agree." I turned to the lawyer and realtor and said, "First offer rejected. Is there a second offer?" "My family is getting bigger. My boys are getting older," Mr. Padillo said, letting go of Pedro's hand to absent-mindedly scratch his head. "We don't have much, but once the bank opens on Monday, I can get a loan. Maybe get together about 400,000. "Your family," I said. The tension I'd been keeping in my shoulders relaxed. "Second offer accepted. The house is yours." Epilogue. I took one last look at the old home. Should I feel sad? No, just relief. Those 4 walls held too much pain for me to ever live there. My parents had 30 days to leave. The next time I saw the house, the Padillo family would own it. The smell of Marisol's home-cooked chimichangas would drive away any remaining shadows. Grandpa could rest, dance with Grandma somewhere above the clouds, and live happily ever after. Matt and I had talked. We'd live together, eventually marry, and I'd adopt Sandy. I'd open up the Nevada branch of the Velvet District. It'll take months, but I'll bring my life back here, to the man I love, to my home. It's been a long time coming, but I found family. Now it's time to live my happily ever after, with the man I love, with our daughter, in Dead Man's Butte, the little town about an hour north of Vegas that no one can find on the maps. Thank you, my friends, for joining me. I'm Gio, the writer and narrator of this story, and I appreciate you hanging around with me. Copilot helped me edit it. He sure catches a lot of punctuation marks. Oh my goodness, you wouldn't believe how bad I am at that. Anyway, I'll talk to you next time, and thank you for all your prayers and well wishes and just for listening. I appreciate it. I'm praying for all of you. I love all of you. Peace, my friends.